What's up, folks? On this episode of the Encore Radio Show, we have Fast Life Beats Collective, Abstrakt and Direckt in the building. Now, on this episode, they talked about how they launched a production company, how they were able to grow from being individual producers to working together to open up their own studio, and how they came to have production credits on Roc Nation's newest signee, Young Paris project titled Afrobeats, dropping March 24th. Be sure to follow Fast Life on Instagram at Fast Life Beats, and of course, check out the website fastlifebeats.com. Join in the conversation with us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook using the hashtag Encore Radio Show, at Encore Radio Show, and of course, EncoreRadioShow.com. This is Wise Soul, and we'll see you on the other side.
The views and comments expressed on the following radio program by its hosts and their guests do not necessarily reflect the views of...
I get higher than God, I don't drink. That's wishful thinking, they sleep on me, that's standard. I drink more than I handle, I eat, cause I be grinding. I keep a shooter by me, I see snakes in the grass. I fiend for checks to cash. I pray for all my homies, I'm like, there ain't no God. I say that she my only, but not you on my mind. Today I'm only human, but no, I'll never die. I'm saved, still dropping music. You niggas still going through it, baby. Take care of the family that you came with. We made it this far and it's amazing.
All right, folks, this is the Encore Radio Show. Here, this is Wise Soul. Make sure you follow myself and the show at The Real Wise, and the show itself at Encore Radio Show, EncoreRadioShow.com. And on this episode, it's like episode 10 of season 5. Season 5. This is the 4th year. We had our anniversary on March the 3rd. Shout out to everybody who's been fucking with this show for 4 years now. Oh my God.
That's dope.
Can't
Congrats,
even believe
man.
it.
Congrats.
Appreciate it. So today, got a little special show for y'all today. We here with Direckt and Abstrakt from Fast Life. So first off, appreciate y'all for coming to the show.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having us.
I really appreciate it. Y'all are like the second producers I've had on the show, and I really I used to want to be a producer a while back. You know how everybody used to want to be a rapper. Right. I wanted to be a producer, so I have a lot of producer questions for y'all.
Fire,
especially for people who might want to get into production. But I know some people dove into production when Fruity Loops dropped. All them years ago. so let's explain that program itself. Did you start? Well, I mean, you wrote the hand. People didn't see that. He wrote the hand. So explain to us what that program did for you.
So I started on Fruity Loops. My boy Direckt started on Logic. But for me, right, when I was like 13, 14, I was really young when I first got Fruity Loops. I got Fruity Loops 3 was like the first version I got. So
He's so excited to talk about Fruity Loops.
Because like Fruity Loops, a lot of times like in the producer world, kind of get shitted on a little bit.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
I mean?
Why?
Because when it first came out, it wasn't as developed of a program, and I feel like it was really made for like house music and like really techie stuff.
Okay.
And the sounds that came with it were kind of corny.
Okay.
But then like as time went on, like you as a producer, you start collecting your own sounds. You start learning how to freak the program a little bit, and then it ended up like turning into this whole thing where I'm, making like these huge records that no one would even guess came off of Fruity Loops.
Really?
Yeah. And a lot of times people would laugh at you when you say you produce on Fruity Loops. You'd be like, oh, you use Fruity Loops? Like, that's corny. You know what I'm saying? But then I would play my tracks and they'd be like, whoa, like, nah, you ain't do that. They wouldn't even believe me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But regardless, I love how it's developed like over the years, and now it's like, it's a really respected thing, so.
Dope. How do you feel like that? I mean, was it an expensive program, or did you like get hike it for the low?
Well, to be honest, my brother got it for me for Christmas.
Oh, dope.
So it was like a Christmas gift, and it was like, cause I was into music at that time, so he's like, yo, take this. He had no idea what I was gonna do with it. You know what I'm saying? But 10 years later, here I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, basically making huge records off of it that are
people really don't even know that what you do on there. It's just flipping the craziest samples and drums.
Yeah,
it's dope.
That's what's up.
Yeah, the drum rolls sound like live drums. People don't even know. They think we went into a big studio and recorded the drum rolls through a big board or something.
Yeah, and you started using Logic.
Yeah.
So why did you start with Logic versus Fruity Loops?
Basically, just I was stuck on a Mac.
Oh,
and,
fair enough. Yeah, I've realized that actually that Fruity Loops is not on Mac, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, it's getting there. They just put out the alpha version. So,
Really? Okay.
So it's not.
Shit, I didn't even know
It's
that.
it's not a wrapped version anymore. It's actually a DMG to install on the Fruity Loops. But I haven't really dug into it too far yet.
Yeah.
I just got the file passed on to me by someone else.
Hit me with that link. Anyway. But yes, okay. So you started on Logic, whatever. Now, have you experienced Fruity Loops since then?
Yeah.
What's the difference to you?
Basically Fruity Loops, the drum and how you come up with your drums and the way they program the drums in Fruity Loops is just basically unbeatable and unmatched in any software yet.
Wow. Okay.
To what I've tried. I mean, E.10 has come a little bit closer, but as far as just being able to do anything and move about the drums, Fruity Loops is definitely the way to go.
That's what's up.
Logic for like synths, how Logic makes the synth sound is just different than Fruity Loops. So it's, when you're getting real nitpicky with it, you might want to go back and forth. But
okay, that's dope.
That's.
Basically, I think they all kind of have their advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah, definitely specialties and whatnot. But y'all work together. So actually, let's start there. Like, how did y'all get together? What made this group, this collaborative group?
So we linked up. So I grew up in Virginia. I moved up here maybe about 5 or 6 years ago. I went to IAR. You heard of that spot?
I have not.
It's a school in the city. Basically, it's like for engineering and audio recording and stuff.
Dope. Okay.
And so me and Direct linked up in class, and like we were in class, and honestly, a lot of the kids in there, I feel like they just went there because music was a hobby for them, and they didn't really like know what they wanted to do with their lives.
Yeah.
But I knew for sure that music was something, like I already kind of was ahead. Like when I went to the school, like I felt like I was more knowledgeable than, what they were teaching us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, me and Direct linked up, and we started recording on our own, like outside of school. And we just realized there was dope chemistry. I felt like compared to the other people in the class, he was, more into it, more knowledgeable. And, we just built a bond. And then after school, we started basically linking up. Like I went back to Virginia, and I started making trips back up here. You know what I mean? Because I was like, yo, I gotta link up with this dude. Like he's doing it. You know what I'm saying? At the time, he got out of school and started engineering at a dope studio. So like a lot of the other kids, they got out of the class and then didn't do anything with their lives. You know what I mean?
They wasted opportunity.
Definitely. Wasted money, time, all that. But long story short, like I just knew he was making moves. I knew I was making moves, and I was like, yo, if there's one person I'm staying in touch with like throughout this whole thing, it's gonna be him. You know what I mean? So
we were engineering for rock bands at that time. Screamo, like
yeah, dead ass, yeah.
Beating on trash can, crazy
Linkin
stuff.
Park type shit.
Yeah.
So where are you from?
Originally from Jersey, like South Jersey, Lakewood, Ocean County. And just grew up down there. Was DJing for a while. Decided to go to IAR, which is the audio school we just spoke about, and I was going for basically DJ remixes, but then I ended up learning how to like move about Pro Tools and kind of like saw the ins and outs of Pro Tools and what that had to offer as far as engineering goes and editing and all the editing options it has, and I saw this kid Abstrakt sitting in the corner, and all the teachers would always come over to him with their headphones and listen to what he was doing. So I had to go over there and see what he was doing too, and that's kind of what like made us friends. Really, just the interest in seeing what each other was doing and being competitive. Really, just going back and forth.
Definitely. So what's for someone like me? I've never been to engineering school. I went to private college. I'm not really gonna shout them out right now, about older man bread. But IAR, what is an engineering school like? Like, what do y'all actually do outside of learning how to use Pro Tools and shit?
Okay, well, it's debatable on how in depth they go on certain things. I think what I would tell people who haven't been there is I feel like they give you the foundation to build off of.
Definitely.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, long story short, they really it's broken down into 4 semesters. And the first semester is like very simple things. Like sometimes they get into the mathematical ratios of like compression on somebody's vocals. They get into like the math behind certain things. They teach you about like frequencies and how to like clean your mixes up and stuff. they had a soldering class where you can learn how to fix a board, like a soundboard if it's broken.
Well, that's kind of dope.
Which I horribly like. That was my hardest class because like the technical stuff I knew all that, but I was like, yo, I'm not a solderer, bro.
On some hardware shit. It's I'll pass.
Yeah, I sucked at that, but. They teach you how to build your own mic cables. Like they teach you all types of stuff. But really, I think there's certain things they could improve on, but they definitely give you a foundation. And if you're hungry enough, you can build off of it after you get out of there.
I can't say I became an amazing engineer from that school, but the baseline of what I knew and what I took into the first studio and the first basically internship that I took, I got from that school. So
nice.
So
it provided an opportunity.
Definitely, I would say so. Yeah. And the connections, the people you meet in the classes is really one of the most important things. Because, I mean, we built a company,
there was people before us that were built companies from who they met in their classes too. Yeah. So it's just always been a good networking situation almost.
Definitely. Do they come back and other people who were there come back and speak to the classes, or is it just more so like
sometimes?
Yeah, they do.
Sometimes they do. Yeah.
Once we get a plaque, they'll invite us back.
That's a fact, yeah. That's definitely a fact.
Nah, that's dope. Okay, so from that, like, what's the time frame between y'all actually leaving school and then y'all launching Fast Life?
I would say, honestly, it was about we linked back up like about a year after school. Like I spent some time back in Virginia. Okay. And then we linked up probably around maybe like a year after that. I was like, you know what? I spent 1 year in Virginia bullshitting with my life. And I was kind of like, I was still playing games, you know what I'm saying? And then I really realized, like, you know what? I'm going to dedicate 24/7, 365. Like, I'm going to cut off the world and I'm going to really put my energy into this. Yeah. And so that was maybe like 2010.
Yeah.
So basically, it's been about, I would say, to answer that question, it's been about 6 coming up on 7 years. So a while.
Well, we went on the college tour like 2010, and that's really when it all started.
Yeah. He was DJing at the time, so we went on a college tour, and that was good times.
What are some colleges you hit?
What's the name of that spot in Massachusetts? We did a few. We did it like some Connecticut, some Massachusetts. It was really upper
like New England area.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
Then honestly, the New England area is like the perfect place to feast. I went to college in the New England area. I went to college in Rhode Island, and there's a lot of college towns out there. Definitely. A lot of support up there. Definitely a place, a feasting ground, as I like to say.
Yeah, Springfield, Massachusetts was big.
Yeah. I went to school. A lot of people who went to school up there or who are from there. But so now we've fast forward now some years later, right? And when did y'all actually open up the actual studio?
We got back from, really slowed down the DJing, and then we started managing a few recording studios. One in Jersey, actually 2 in Jersey. Then we did one in Brooklyn, and then we decided to really do our own spot a year ago.
Yeah. What's involved in managing? I do see a lot of people, a lot of producers. They'll, I guess like be like the main engineer essentially for the studio. And is that what managing would be, or it's
basically taking day-to-day operations of the actual recording studio. And I mean, manage all the engineers basically at the studio and do the time and try and bring new clients in, and that's basically one of the main jobs of managers, to bring new clients into the studio. That's basically always been the big thing. I mean, you can push yourself ahead of a lot of people if you can bring people to a studio.
Dope. So now the year that year passed, whatever, and then y'all opened up y'all own studio. What gave y'all that inspiration to say, yeah, we gonna do this shit right here?
I can answer that one. I think the inspiration was really, we were, like he said, we were managing the studio in Brooklyn, and then we just had our own view on how it should be ran, and the owner of that particular studio didn't really see it our way.
Got it. Okay.
And that's fine, of course, like that's part of business. Not everybody's gonna agree. But at the same time, we felt like it was affecting how we were operating. And we were like, you know what? We need total control in order to really paint our company and our picture the way we want to paint it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like to make moves that we want to make. So that's what we had to do. We had to take that chance, and it's paying off. So, I'm happy that we did it for real.
It's been the best thing for us.
Yeah. It was also a time in our lives where it was like, you know what? Like, you know, you reach those times where it's like, you know what, it's now or never type thing. You know what I mean? Where it's like, yo, it's time. We're still young. We can make it happen. You know, like why not do it now?
Absolutely.
So
we're just trying to get and work with the most like top artists around. You know, want to work with the most upcoming people. So we just wanted to build like a home and like a place where everybody would feel like they could make their first hit there. You know?
Yeah. No, I definitely understand what it's like to try and build a home or have an environment for people to create. You know, this is the reason why we even in here right now.
Definitely.
You know, but y'all have y'all location now. It's Times Square. So that's a big selling point and stuff. Like, yeah, yo, come and record whatever. You know, just take any train to Times Square. Take any train and come through. Especially even for out of towners, whatever. It's like, you know, you can't not find Times Square. There's nothing too difficult about that.
I just found the space and knew it was an opportunity at that moment, and it fit the budget that we were working with, and we just pulled the trigger as fast as we could. We just knew for that all those reasons you just said. You know,
it don't get no better than that.
And plus it's even more pluses. You know, there's offices and music businesses that are right around the corner from our studio right now that we didn't even know about previous to moving in.
Shout out to Roc Nation.
Yeah, Roc Nation. You know, just been grateful and a blessing to have gotten the space that we got, and you know, it's been a year. We plan on doing many more, and you know, getting our first plaque in that studio.
That's what's up. Okay, so y'all opened the studio. You started getting art. Well, you were already accustomed to managing a studio, so you knew that, all right, we got this place now. We have to find artists to come in and record and blah blah blah. So, who are some of the artists that y'all feel like talking about? Because I know it's a lot of people probably might not want to mention. But who are some artists y'all feel like talking about that came through to the studio to record?
I mean, me and Abs always had a following. You know, Abs beats have always attracted a lot of people to come through, and I just happen to be an engineer, so it's just been a tag team back and forth. And I mean, you know, moving from studio to studio, we've had people come with us. I mean, I've been working with people for, you know, 6-7 years at this point. You know, I have kids that I work with, produce for, engineer for. They were 18 at one time, and now they're older. They have kids. It's just it's just cool to see everybody grow and help them as their music grows, and you know, to help them get somewhere.
Well, to what I think, honestly, in terms of like who we got coming through, like obviously the first person on my mind is, of course, Young Paris, because he's got a project dropping coming up.
Yep.
March 24th. Yep, March 24th. Afro Beats is the name of the project, so it's gonna be fire. It's been a blessing to work with him, and I mean, as he's saying, like as we've been moving from studio to studio, like the clients are getting bigger, the people that we're working with is getting bigger, so it's been dope. But I mean, this Paris project is gonna be serious, so I'm looking forward to it.
So all right, so let's talk about Young Paris for a little while.
Definitely.
So Young Paris, young dude, literally out of Paris, family from the Congo, right?
Yes.
Now, I went looking up, because I mean, I've been familiar with him or whatever. I've listened to some of his songs that, you know, have crossed my path or whatnot, but his sound is crazy in itself. Like, just imagine, I mean, like my family's not from the United States, so I already, like, my brain itself is already tuned to hear different sounds and be open to different sounds and stuff, right? But I think, like, from what I heard, it was EDM-ish / hip-hop-ish / like something. You know, what is it like to have to create for someone like that?
Well, I mean, one thing I do like about Paris is he is versatile in his own world. You know what I mean? Like he will do kind of like a deep house record that's like, all of it is African influence, but like he'll do like a deep house record that's kind of got like some trance like influence to it, and then he'll turn around and do a very like organic, like, you know, record with like all real drums, and you know what I mean, like his sound, he bridges over a few different sounds, you know. So
I think it's about just us being like real producers, like we're able to flex and move in different ways. So like it's not always about creating a beat for him, it's about creating a vibe for him. Like you have to create the energy that he wants to be on. It doesn't always seem like a beat. It almost seems like something different sometimes.
So let's, just for people who aren't familiar necessarily with some of the terms that y'all just use, so what is trance and what is house, for people who have never listened to either of the two?
Okay, well, I mean, my description, because you're gonna get a lot of like.
Definitely.
Yeah, I've actually looked up other people's descriptions because it's very interesting. Like how there's so many different types of house music.
Yeah.
But like my description is trance is like it's very like there's a lot of fade in and out. Like it's kind of to me it's drug music. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I look at it. But like there's a lot of like long fades in and out. There's a lot of like it'll sit in one spot for a while. It takes a long time to develop sometimes.
Okay.
House music is really a broad range of different, there's a lot of subgenres of house music. Okay. I kind of consider trance a subgenre of house music,
gotcha.
but I might get fried by a real house person. But I mean, there's a lot of different types of house music. But I like I'm not into like really big room house. That was the sound of like an example is like the hard synths like LMFAO style, like that kind of like hard hitting. Remember what Pitbull was doing? Like, like that's like big house. The way that it's been described to me. I'm more of a fan of like deeper house, which is like that like. It's like a lot of dark chords and like it's very like a lot of low frequencies. That's my favorite type of house. But
the more druggy music.
Yeah, it's definitely more druggy music. A lot of like the low vocals and you hear that like it sounds like the vocals are like tuned down a little bit.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that type of stuff.
So I feel like I'm jumping all over the place, but
it's cool.
As someone who actually likes production, like I'm actually really excited about this conversation, right? So how is it trying to explain to someone who doesn't know shit about music, like what you do?
He does that every day.
How do you do it? How do you break it? How do you make it into layman terms?
I personally, I mean, really, it's identifying with their vocabulary. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times you gotta like, with somebody like Paris, like he's very in tune with, like he's very smart. He'll be like, yo, I want you to take this frequency and notch it down and like, you know what I mean? Like he hears things, like he's very good with his ear. Some people who aren't so good with their ear, you have to explain it in terms of like, they'll just be like, I want it bigger, or I want it, like, I want it to sound like it's like, in a club or in my face, you know what I mean? Like, and you have to like just take your own interpretation of that. Yeah. So like, if somebody says to me, like they want it, like, they want like a bigger sound, like, I might compress it more or bring it out to the front more. You know what I mean? Like it's just, you have to like interpret it. It's really like, you got to know the language and then kind of like, translate it in your head and kind of process to get what they want.
The best way I could say is like, the artist is an artist, but we help them create their paint. We help them choose the colors that they choose to paint with. We know what paintbrush they should use at this moment. We just have the experience of making 100 records compared to the 10 that they've made in the past. 10 months or whatever. Just the experience of what we have and what we've seen is just able to shape and mold what they have in their head and make it better, and that's really the whole goal, is to make it better.
Gotcha. So let's go back to you. Let's go to you, Direkt, for a second. Now, I feel personally that a lot of people overlook the engineer and the engineering side of this, right? So can you explain to people like what you do to any artist's sound, particularly like to their voice, or to whether you have to reach out to Abstrakt and say, yo, I need this beat to sound a different way? Like explain your process.
The first thing really is just really I try and get them to say the song out loud before they even go in the studio, just because confidence needs to be basically the number one thing that's coming from the artist. If they're not confident with what they're saying, or they don't believe in what they're saying 100%, or they just wrote it, it never comes off exactly like it's easy, like it's you, like it's like I would say, like it's water.
Believable.
Yeah, exactly, believable. So yeah, first thing I have them do that, then they lay the song down and we check out the structure of the song and in comparison to how many bars they're rapping or how many whatever they're singing, and we adjust the structure wise and adjust the beat and maybe some lyrics and then the whole time while all that is going on, I'm on the computer adjusting levels of the microphone, making sure nothing's clipping, meaning too loud or to make the mic sound crazy. adding effects, delays, tuning the voice, because most people swear they know how to sing, but they can't. And then then just keep adjusting levels and making things better.
And you're doing all this live.
Yeah.
So people, I find that people just when they think of producer, they think of someone like Abstrakt. Like, they think of someone who's just making the beats, whatever, and it's like, just do the beat, whatever, and I'm gonna just rap on it, or I'm gonna just sing on it, whatever it is. And I feel like there's so much more involved in that, and that's why I really appreciate, the collaborative effort that the both of y'all put together, whatever, because I just feel like there's so much more to music that people overlook. Mm-hmm. Some of it is ignorance, just from the fact that they haven't been involved to that level.
Yeah.
And some of it is just like, I just think, beat, thus, Abstrakt.
Well, like an engineer, like it's weird just how the music industry has evolved. It's just been weird because an engineer and a producer used to be two different things, but then it kind of can be, nowadays can kind of be the same thing, but it still can also be separate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? An engineer in the technical sense is just a person that is basically making sure all the levels are correct and the it's being recorded properly. Mm-hmm. And then you would have a producer that's not the producer that makes the beat, but another producer that sits on the couch in the back and says, yeah, that's good, you should do it this way. Yeah, that's bad, you should do it this way. From my experience, add this harmony. And that's the producer in that sense. And then you have the producer of the sense of the person that actually makes the music or constructs the music.
Yeah.
And then even below that producer could have the musicians that make the music that he produces. Yeah. So you can actually have an engineer, two producers, and maybe even another executive producer all working on one song at the same time, and it could all just get.
What is it like to have that many hands in the pot?
It varies. Sometimes it goes really well. Sometimes it can, there could be clashes. I think the real key is compromise in certain areas. You know what I mean? Like, because in terms of like all that, and then you got songwriters, you got the artists, you know what I mean? Like, there's like, it could be, luckily we wear a lot of hats, you know what I mean? So we could fill a lot of shoes. Mm-hmm, but, in certain scenarios, some sessions or some artists will bring in like 10 people. You got the two songwriters, a vocal coach, a producer who wants to co-produce with us. Then you got like 5.
These are all people that should be in the session at all times, but because people don't have budgets nowadays, they don't. People are missing from sessions, and that's why music is not as good as it used to be, because there's not all this experience helping people make music.
It's definitely. It requires a budget for everybody to be there. So, I mean, but long story short, like in those scenarios, like, you do have to compromise at some points, like, because I songwrite too. So at times, like if somebody's like, I've pitched out what I thought were great ideas, you know what I'm saying? And then somebody will come with an idea that I might think is not as dope, but you have to fight certain battles, you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to win every one. And, you just have to also trust the people that you're working with and trust that it's going to come out how you want it to, you know what I mean? So, I mean, you do got to compromise, but it's also about like being able to explain your thought process and why you think certain things might work. And, it's just being the energy has to be right, it's a collaborative effort. So,
all right. So going back. So we have, again, Young Paris, March 24th.
Yeah.
Afro Beats. Now I looked this up because I've had this internal strife with this word Afrobeat / Afro Beats, right? Now, when I Googled it and I checked out Young Paris's explanation, it made sense, but it was still kind of like, wait a minute. So Afrobeat is the actual genre, or I guess the historic genre of what Afrobeat comes from, and there's this whole history behind that we're not getting into right now.
What's crazy? He dropped a video on IG, like basically breaking it down.
Exactly. Yeah.
You saw that one?
I did. So people definitely go and check that out, right? And then we have Afrobeats, which, after hearing his explanation, it also actually makes sense. Yeah. Because this is 2017. Mm-hmm. I mean, matter of fact, I'm also on another podcast called the PLC Report. We spoke to these guys. Shout out to Abe and Andre from radio. Shout out to Trinidad in general, right? And we had this conversation that music, especially in the Black and brown diaspora, is now like merging. In soca, you'll hear a ton of Afrobeat inspirations.
Yeah.
Right. People had a huge uproar last year with Views having tons of reggae and not even necessarily soca, but definitely tons of reggae and dancehall inspiration.
Yeah.
Right. So, but now hearing Afro beats with the S at the end, I understand it because it's gonna take from me. Yo, he's from Paris.
Yeah.
Like he's not from the United. If someone from like when Tiger dropped a song, a dancehall inspired song, and I was like, what the fuck? I've never seen you touch foot on any island. I've never seen you.
Everybody's just jocking the fucking.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So I do enjoy this, but Afro beats. Right.
Yes.
What sounds are we gonna hear on this project? I don't even know if you could even explain it because it's type crazy.
Well, okay. Hopefully, Paris is satisfied with this explanation. My personal take on Afro beats is it's like modern day sounds blended with the traditional Afro music. You know what I mean? So basically, think about like we might make a beat with like it's got the traditional Afrobeats rhythm to it, you know what I mean? But then we might add like some trap hi-hats kind of in there, or like little elements of what's going on today to make it relatable to the American market. You know what I mean? So that's my take on Afrobeats.
He describes it a little bit like more general though. He's like he just wants to uplift the whole culture. At this point, anybody that's basically African and that's rapping on music, that's Afro beats to him.
Okay.
Like that's he's opening up even a more just broader spectrum to it, and he just wants to see African people that are like
he definitely does
like that's their homeland. He wants to see them rapping on anything. He wants and that's Afro beats to him, and that's why he put the S on it. It just
Now that in itself is gonna cause. I don't even want to use the word controversy. I think that in itself is gonna invite conversation.
Yeah.
Because I find like a lot of people, because people are so afraid of appropriation, and appropriation has become this huge trigger word. Like I say appropriation, people are like, you're triggering me. And, it's just like there's a lot of people feel like their inspiration, their background, their culture is being snatched from, and I can understand that to a perspective, right? But particularly when it's like anyone from Africa should be able to say, yo, I want to try this. Because at the end of the day, we all came from here. So thus, if I'm dabbling in this, that, and the third, whatever, there should be no issue. On another perspective now, and I think people who've never left the country would may not understand this, especially when we talk about this appropriation conversation. But American media, the American entertainment industry is a global industry. If you can touch foot on almost every single developed country on the planet, and you will hear something from America. Yep, that's an absolute fact. And when music is made, or when TV is made, or when anything is made, it's with the idea that it needs to pop in America, because if it pops in America, it's the biggest market. It's gonna pop everywhere else, or at least it's gonna be seen everywhere else, right? So I can see why I know why people why it needs to sound like this, right? How do you feel when or how did you even feel when Young Paris, when y'all started to work with Young Paris and said, okay, oh shit, like now we gotta dive into this? Like, what was that experience like?
There was a lot of things for me going through my head. I mean, at first, I'm gonna keep it 100 because I was like, I've been doing like trap beats, and I was doing like EDM beats. So when he came to me, the first thing I had to do was I didn't want it to come off fake, or I didn't want it to come off as if I didn't know the culture. Yeah, you know what I mean. So I definitely did a lot of studying in terms of like the rhythms and the patterns and the bounce and like they have a lot of like, sometimes you'll hear some off rhythms like that aren't really used in American music. Yeah. And so I wanted to be familiar with that, because I don't want to sit here and do like a corny beat. My first few times at it, I'm not gonna lie, my first few times it didn't sound like I had the soul or the rhythm that, you know what I'm saying, like was necessary to make it. But I kept working at it, you know what I'm saying? I kept and I really dove into it, did a lot of research, and made sure that I was familiar with what I was doing, because I didn't want to come off like on like like you said, I didn't want to be on the other side of it, which is like the appropriation, like I'm watering it down and shit like that, you know what I mean? So but I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on that, because like for me, you know, it was definitely a new task. Luckily, we had just came off of working with Nitty Scott, which was another task.
Yep. Shout out to Nitty, man.
Oh, definitely shout out to Nitty. Shout out to Nitty for sure.
I mean, when I started working on the Paris whole CD, it was just different. It was just a lot more effects that we were using. A lot more delays on everything. He likes his delays, and I mean, delays are just big things that help with the vibe too. You know, delay, reverb. You just get this crazy energy off of that type of stuff. So. Also, the big thing that he was doing in his project was a lot of looping. He would loop vocal sets, and that was definitely one thing that I hadn't done in a while, and I actually started to enjoy it a little bit more. And I think that so like he would have this one section of a song, and he'll make the vocal loop, which would be 2 bars, and he'll loop that for that same piece for 8 bars, and then he'll make another layer of a vocal over top of that, singing a different melody or saying something else, and then we'll loop that, and then over top of that he'll do something else.
Yeah, that kind of I mean, like I wouldn't say. I mean, I don't want to get killed by no house people neither, right? But I feel like I like house a lot. You know, I've been in clubs in Barbados where house is playing. I'm just like, yeah, I'm just like rocking out, whatever. No goddamn words, straight beat, but I love that shit. Yeah. I feel like because of where he grew up, whatever. He grew up in Europe. You know, you want to hear that type of music, and you want to rap on that at the same time. And it's like, well, how do you merge those two? And I'm actually appreciated both of y'all actually found a way to make that happen.
Yeah. He sings very melodic, and it doesn't take away from the music at all. That's basically one of the biggest things in the project, is that none of his vocals or anything is really taking away from the music. It's all about this big beat that's just playing that he wants you to dance to. There's crazy stuff. I wouldn't even be able to survive on the dance floor to some of the songs that he's got.
You gotta dance to one song. Take a break. You just walk to the bar. Like, hey, I'm gonna get up.
They wouldn't let me leave. You know?
Oh man. Okay, so you know, he had put out 2 projects before this one coming out now.
Yep.
How much back study did you have to do just on his music? Not even the sound itself, not even the overall sound of having to learn, you know, the Afrobeats, rhythm, stuff like that. But how much music of his
on his in particular? I mean, well, the first time I heard of him, you know, Rashida. She has,
shout out to Rashida, man.
Definitely shout out to Rashida.
Mini Mogul.
Yeah, Mini Mogul. Yep. So she sent me his music, right?
Yeah.
And when I first heard it, the very first song I heard, I was like, oh, this is something different. I'm like, yo, this is something real different. So, you know, I went and listened to basically the whole African Vogue CD, which was released at the time. And then we did a lot of I did a lot of listening in my headphones to that, and then I started creating based off of that, you know. Then I started opening my spectrum to a lot of different Afro artists, you know what I mean? And I was listening to, you know, a lot of, like, you know, he actually was, you know, giving me a few artists to listen to.
Yeah.
Like he right now it seems like he's a big fan of Wizkid. He's got a few other people that he likes, and I listened to what they're doing versus what he had out, and I just kind of combined a little bit of each, you know, element.
Yeah.
And but there was definitely some research necessary for sure. Like, it's not one of those things you just jump into, and you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to really study his craft.
It was 2 artists I listened to from the continent, Wizkid and Black Coffee. Those two artists are the only ones. Shout out to the Sobering podcast. They put me on to Black Coffee. But like, those 2 are the only ones I listen to, whatever. And then, you know, hearing Young Paris being able to kind of like tie together. It's so funny. Sometimes, like, especially in 2017, you know, I want to like just like put a map on the wall and just like put a pin. I'm like, yeah, so this sound comes from here. And then this artist was born here. And then now this artist is over here. And you have like this crazy triangle of intercontinental
It'll be
music.
a never-ending spider web.
Yeah. So like the globalization of music right now, like how exciting, or is it exciting? I mean, it's exciting to me, but how exciting is it? Is it exciting for y'all to open the spectrum?
I think it's helped our whole entire production company in general, because a few years ago, beat makers could have done very well in the industry, but now you actually have to be a producer. You have to be versatile. You can't just make a beat. You have to be able to make any type of music that that people need now, because it's all so cross pollinated. You know, it's not a rapper coming to do a rap song. It's a rapper coming to possibly do a pop song, or a pop artist coming to possibly do a rap song. It's you never know, and you never even really know where the song could take you. A song could call for rap drums, and it's a pop track.
Think about this. Think about how much, like, if you think about it, it goes beyond music really, but I'll stick to the music for right now. But everything is getting blended. Every single thing that you can imagine is getting blended. Like, even in terms of music, think about, like, rappers are now singing. Singers are now rapping, like he said. You know, like, genres are getting crossed. Like, everything is, like, rappers aren't even rappers anymore. Rappers are now fashion icons. Fashion icons are rappers. Everything is blended. You know what I mean? So, I think it's exciting if you know how to capitalize on that. You know what I mean? Like, if you know, you got to stay a step ahead of everything. Like, what can I cross that hasn't been crossed yet? Or what can I, what elements can I take from that hasn't been used yet, and then put it into something that people are familiar with, and then you win. It's a win-win because it's something new but still familiar to people. So, you know, that's my take on it personally.
That's what's up. Honestly, I think that in 2017, and I keep saying that shit, but first off, it's fucking crazy to me that it is 2017. Like, I was in fucking 6th grade when I remember Y2K. Oh, you understand?
Yeah, were we supposed to die? Like,
we were supposed to die. We were supposed to die mad times. But, you know, Y2K, I remember Y2K, so I was in goddamn 17 now, and the world, people are now realizing the world's a bigger place. You know, like, there are a lot of people. I mean, even now, like, a lot of people still live in this ignorance and this ignorant world. Whatever. I don't want to make it seem like that's a negative thing, but I do kind of judge people who are ignorant. But anyway, I think that the globalization of everything, you know, so you shout out social media for opening doors for people who definitely who possibly didn't have any opportunity to do any type of things, whatever. There's, you know, do you think there's even a way that people find out about Young Paris here in the United States, whatever, or him even get his music all the way over here? If there isn't social media, I don't know. There's no YouTube, there's no Twitter, no Facebook. I don't know. You know, like,
definitely need a lot more budget.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
If he didn't have the social media.
I mean, that it's really about, for him, it's just about taking advantage of those platforms, like you said, like, because everything is, like, we have the internet now. Like, people are more conscious because we can connect to any part of the world at any moment in our lives.
Any moment.
So, I mean, really, that's how I met Rashida, you know what I mean? Like, literally on Instagram. So it's like, you got to be able to take advantage, like, even outside of music, as a business owner, or as anybody who wants to make moves or influence the world, like, you have to take advantage of having that at your fingertips. You know what I mean? So, you know, I think for artists, like, they're able to, you know, somebody in Africa could pop over here if you know, if it's, you know, if it makes its way onto the viral, you know, Vine stream that Facebook has, or that, you know, Instagram has, where people start reposting. You know what I mean?
That shit pop mad quick.
Yeah.
So, you know, the project drops March 24th. Prior to that, you know, people who, you know, may not have been paying attention or whatnot, whatever, they're gonna see to them, regardless of where y'all from or not, they're gonna see two white guys that produce Young Paris project called Afro Beats. You know, fuck what they're gonna say. What's your response to them?
We didn't make all the beats. we just recorded and mixed it. We produced one beat on the project. We're humbled to be a part of the project, and you know, we studied a lot of the culture and the music, and we promised we did it justice. We promised we did it justice.
I think my take on it is, it's like, to me, I think it only becomes appropriation to me when when you're a culture vulture, you know what I'm saying? When you're taking from and not giving to the culture, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like I wanted to, like he said, we wanted to do research and do it justice. So it's like we're giving something versus taking something. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're giving you an ill project. We're giving you, like, you know, an advance, like, we're helping advance the whole sound and the culture. You know what I mean? Versus taking that and then, like, you know, turning it into a pop, you know, like, you know, thing. You know what I mean? So.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Okay, cool. So now, previous to this, y'all had worked with some local artists or whatnot, whatever. Y'all mentioned Nitty, right? Y'all had worked with, was it Mano as well?
Yeah,
Yep,
Mano.
yep.
Yep, we did Mano. That was KOB3 was the name of the mixtape. So yeah, we did a track called Getting to the Money.
Yeah.
And that was a dope track. And we got some more things coming up with Mano too. So that's gonna be dope.
So there's a lot of versatility with the sound coming out of Fast Life.
Yeah.
How do y'all do it? Like what are some of your inspirations?
Oh man. Well, I'm gonna let him answer that in a second. But me personally, I think early on I was influenced a lot by Timbaland and Pharrell because I grew up in Virginia.
Yep, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And their sound, like, I still miss that a little bit because it's like nowadays everybody sounds the same.
That's where I feel like you got your drum sense from is from those two mainly.
Bro, I used to walk around, like I would bump like clips in Pharrell, and then I would bump Timbaland. Like I would like just be listening to it nonstop, like because it was so ill. Like it was just a different patterns, and it was a different tempo. Everything was different. And, but the thing about it is like, while their beats did sound a lot alike with each other, like you could hear a beat and be like, "That's a Timbaland beat." But
definitely,
it was different. Like no one else was really doing that. You know what I mean? Like right now, when you hear a trap beat, you don't know who made it. You know what I'm saying? Like you're like, I don't know. So I appreciate the originality from them. But in terms of what is going on today, I am like, it's funny that I say that and then I turn around and say this, but I am a fan of like 808 Mafia. Yeah. I just like how their joints hit. I learned a lot about like how to mix my records that way. And who else is really doing? I don't know. I don't really, in terms of trap music, it's really just like it's all the same kind of. So
yeah.
But I don't know. I'm curious to know.
It's all the same.
It is,
and he's gonna go home and make a trap beat. Everyone.
Yeah. Trap is fun. I'm not gonna lie. Trap is fun.
It definitely is fun. It's
fun.
I went to high school in North Carolina. So I was from 2002 to 2006. So
okay.
I was in Charlotte. So I was literally 4 hours away from what became the perfect breeding ground for hip hop right now. I watched that whole thing. I remember listening to it. And I'm like, yo, like I like this shit, but it's not rap. It's not rap. I hate this. It's not rap. Right? And I say that to say that I also bought Lil Jon. I bought Lil Jon's CD.
Yeah,
so I bought his album.
Yeah.
So judge me if you will.
Nah, Lil Jon used to bump.
I was definitely a huge fan of T.I., huge fan of Luda, because they sound more like the prototypical rapper coming from New York City or whatever. But then like a lot of Crime Mob, a lot of 3-6, a lot of people who I generally just I didn't see them as like this prototypical rapper. Like I didn't see them as like bars type people, right? So now that it's not even new no more, but this genre of trap that's come out, right? This shit makes sense. It makes sense. Like,
it
did. 4 years ago, 7 years ago, about 2010, Migos would have dropped. Anything Migos would have put out, I'd be like, oh, this shit's whack, son. Like, fuck are you talking about? They ain't even fucking saying nothing. And now I fucking drop. Bad and Bougie, come on, I turned to a whole different person.
Yeah, word.
You understand? Culture, shout out to them and Culture. Like, I play Culture every day.
What's that? What's that track? Is it Slippery?
Oh my god!
Yeah,
I'm still not a big Gucci fan, but I respect Gucci now. Whereas when I was living in the South, I was like, "Fuck is Gucci, man?"
Yeah.
So I definitely like where the sound has gone. I like that producers and engineers and artists all get in the goddamn room and say, "Yo, let's create this sound." It may not be the most lyrical shit you've ever heard, but the shit definitely sounds fucking great.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe. There you go.
Yeah. I think, like you really got to know where, like, personally, that's why I like being in the club a lot, because that's when you catch the vibe of them. Like, you really have to live in the music to understand trap music or to understand like any genre, really. You know what I mean? Like, you have to live in that moment and be like, okay, this is what's influencing these people to, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I like Bad and Bougie, like, I'm not listening to what he's saying. Like, I mean, I might, if I'm listening to it in my headphones on the way to the gym or something, but like, if I'm in the club, like, I'm turning up because it's like the bass is hitting a certain way, his voice, like, it makes sense then, you know what I mean? So you gotta, to me, I like to live in it, you know what I mean? I like to live in it, and then I can understand it.
Nice.
But like, I'm a big fan of Rich the Kid. If you, Rich the Kid is dope.
He does not like Rich the Kid. I can tell.
Nah, why not? Why is that?
I mean, I don't. It's not that I don't like him. It's that I'm very picky. Like I'm very picky, just in general.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
And there's just certain sounds that just fit sonically for me, and just certain shit that just don't sonically touch. You know, I mean, but I find myself not saying things are trash anymore. You know,
No, you can't.
Yeah,
there's no such thing as trash.
There's no such exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like
it doesn't matter.
I feel coming because for me, I'll be in a club and I hear Bad and Bougie and I'll be like, yeah, they about to play Uzi part and they'll cut it off and I'm like, yo, y'all wildin'. Uzi Black and people hate Lil Uzi, you know, and it's like I like him a lot.
Yeah.
Why? Because that's just what sonically it fits. You know, when I hear it, it doesn't annoy me. People hate Young Thug. I fucking love Young Thug. Sonically, it makes it. My friend called him. They said his voice is like a musical instrument. I love that shit.
Exactly,
It's some people who just I'll play it and I'm like, why you just let the beat play. I don't want to. Don't talk. So, but Direkt, no, I definitely have a question for you though. Specifically about like you previously being a DJ and now being an engineer. Do you find yourself, ever like playing with like sounds, mixing sounds, and like putting out like a mix track or something like that with just nothing but sounds? I know a lot of like a David Guetta or Skrillex some shit will like play with music whatever and it's like merge it together. So that's something that you dive into.
Within the next few months, I think we're gonna start dropping stuff as Fast Life the duo.
Okay.
So I think that question really pertains to that. Yeah, we're making music for ourselves all the time.
Hey.
That's what we do. I feel like we got as good as we are by making music for ourselves, and people are just now being attracted to what we've always done to our stuff, and we're actually getting to do it to their stuff now. So we're always creating sounds and doing new stuff. So we're just waiting for the right time to drop and make our mark on the world. Just like Young Paris is about to do.
That's fine. That's fine. So, Nitty got a project coming out this spring as well.
Yeah. Shout out to Nitty.
Yep, shout out Nitty. Finally, we got this project. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Nitty's family. She got the Creature project's crazy.
13 songs of just back-to-back fire. There's one joint that we co-produced with our boy Pharaoh.
Yeah. Shout out to P, man. That's
So yeah, we produced all the tracks on that joint, and that's what the big difference between this and the Paris situation is. We got all the beats on that one.
Yeah.
And
how long you been working with Nitty?
Man, it's like a year and a half.
Year and a half. Yeah. And it's been crazy ride because we went through a lot in terms of like when we started out. Like we had a lot of like everything was done ourselves, by the way. There was no label, there was no outside involvement. It was all us. It was just us and Nitty and Pharaoh. So it was like we had a lot of setbacks due to that, like in terms of like she went through personal things, then we had we switched studios. Like that was in the time that we got our own studio. So like to see it all come together and like finally have a final product that is stamped and it's so fire. Like especially you'll hear a lot of the Timbaland and Pharrell influence on that. Nice. Like because that was when we were able to play with like that was our first introduction to like new culture and new sound. Like she was like I want to like take this like Latina and African music and blend it into trap music. So it's like there's so many like different sounds on there. It's very like sonically different.
That's dope, and I'm glad y'all dropping it in spring too. Like I know.
Oh, it's perfect.
It's got a springtime vibe.
That's what I figured. When you said Afro Latina, I'm instantly thinking someone else dropped a song last year. And it had like an Afro Latina feel to it, and I just as soon as I heard it, I'm like, oh, this sounds like Washington Heights. Like I used to live up there, so like every time I used to be walking home like 1-2 o'clock in the morning, whatever, off the one train, I'd just be hearing this sound. I'm like, oh yeah, this is fire. So I'm excited for that as well.
Yeah, she's great, man. She's great. She got the bars, and that's the exact feel that it's got, that Washington Heights like Spanish feel to it, the whole entire project.
Nice.
On some real shit, she's definitely one of the dopest rappers like I've ever heard. Like
really,
she's fire. She's very underrated. Like she hasn't gotten the credit that she deserves yet. Like,
she's
fire.
I feel like
fire.
I feel like there's a lot of people who don't get credit for what they've done, particularly for how long they've done it.
Yeah.
And particularly if they're a woman. Like, people overlook a lot of the aspects. Like, I know a lot of people who've heard of Nitty, but haven't listened to her music. It's like, oh yeah, she looks good. And it's like, yeah, but she's also an artist. Like, there's mad other aspects to her that you, like, she's basically poured her soul out to you, whatever, through her music, and you've ignored it just because she looks good or whatever. Like, come on, son. Like, there's so much more to that.
I mean, you know what? Like, I think, yes, that is true. But I also think, there's other people like what you're describing. There's a lot of people who don't get the exact credit that they deserve. You know what I mean? And I feel like there are reasons for everything. But I also feel like, yeah, that is part of it too. Like, I feel like she does kind of, you know, of course, I read the comments, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll go on her videos and read the comments. People will be like, oh yeah, look at them titties, son, or something. You know, they'll say something wild. And like, she knows it. She acknowledges it. She says it. She makes jokes about it and all that. But, I mean, you know, you have to make a conscious decision. Like, are you going to play into that or are you not going to play into that? Absolutely. And she's chosen to, you know what I mean? Like, you know, she looks good. She plays into her image, and I think it benefits her, you know? Like, it's kind of like what this new project is about. Her old project, she was very like, she was talking about how her manager used to like make her wear certain clothes and not really show her body off and stuff like that. And now she's embracing that. So the project kind of, it even touches on those subjects. You know what I mean? Like, she'll talk about, she's feeling herself a lot more. Like, so I think that'll benefit her. So that way now it's like people have to acknowledge her music. You know what I mean? Like,
I like when people are more relatable, you know, like it's one thing, like, yo, this is New York City. Everybody got bars. Everybody can rap. You know, if you can find the right producer, everybody can sound good. But for me, like, I need to know, what about you and me, how, like, what do we have in common? What's the common denominator? You know, like, if there's nothing that I can relate to on your project or in any of your songs, it's like, why the fuck am I listening to you? I could listen to someone else that sounds.
If you're not going to do struggle.
Yeah. You know, it's like, I know a lot of artists. I know a lot of artists be struggling a lot. Like, I watched some movie the other day, and oh fuck, I hate when I do that.
I think Paris said it the other day. He said, if people don't feel your pain through the music, it's really hard for them to relate to you.
Exactly. Exactly. It's just like, why? Like, what about you makes you stand out amongst everybody else?
That's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of different dynamics though, because, like, all right, you have a person's voice, right? Like you said, Young Thug, you like him because of his voice. It's like an instrument. Then you have what they're actually saying. Yeah. Then you have, like, in terms of rap, you have, like, you know, their metaphors. Like, there's so many different things that could draw a person in. Like, you know, for Cassidy, like, you listen to Cassidy, right?
Yes.
Like, Cassidy, you're gonna listen to him because
bars God.
Yeah, like, he might not necessarily like say the deepest lines or like have like a message in his, like, sometimes he does, but, you know, mostly it's about his metaphors. Like, it's like, how did he think of like that punchline?
They gonna hit like crazy.
But you're not gonna listen to him because he sounds like Young Thug. You know what I mean? Like, so there's different things that draw people into different artists. But I think, like, you know, obviously the biggest artists and the most successful artists are going to have elements of all that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's really what keeps people alive is, you know, and that's what, you know, we've been blessed to work with people like Paris, Nitty, and all these other people that, like, have like embody like so many different things. Like, they have punchlines, but they have the melody too, you know what I mean? And the voice to match it. So
absolutely. Yeah. Man. Well, look, I want to thank you both for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Like, y'all went in. Y'all explained a lot of shit, and y'all ain't dodged no question. So I definitely respect
we ain't dodging no bullets.
Shout out Wise. Thank you, Encore, for having us, man.
Definitely, bro.
No doubt. Tell people where they can find you on social media, where they can book them studio sessions at. Tell them everything.
Everything at Fast Life Beats, Twitter, Instagram. FastLifeBeats.com is the website. IG at Fast Life Beats, man. Hit us up. We here.
Fast Life Beats.
Fast Life. All right, folks, it's the Encore Radio Show. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Encore Radio Show. # Encore Radio to join the conversation. Of course, this is the Indie Creative Network podcast, and we out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bro. This is an Indie Creative Network podcast. I did it.